Whoever has joined in the name of Educational Hub, he or she needs to change the name to the proper name of a student. Okay, so let us begin with the class. My voice is clear to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in the last class where we have stopped, we were studying about this agile model. We studied that what are the different popular models, name of the popular models under this agile development model. Then we studied that what was the main idea behind developing this model, and then the advantage and the disadvantage of this agile model. Now, since always, if you notice, when we were studying one model, software development lifecycle model, we are constantly comparing it with all other models, right? So we are always comparing it. Why? Because we all need to know that how one model is superior than the other, or how one model has evolved over the other model. So in order to do that, we are always, whenever we are learning one new model, we are always looking at the comparison of that model with all the previous other models which we have studied. So at the end of this chapter also, we will do a comparison of all the models we will study. So likewise, agile model also we need to study that what are its things in comparison to the other models. So let us start with it. The first is agile model versus iterative waterfall model. Now this waterfall model, it is a highly structured and systematically steps through the requirement capture process, the requirement analysis, the requirement specification, then design, then coding, then testing stage. So all these are planned in a sequence, and all these are systematically stepped through. So it is a structured one. So progress in case of waterfall model, it was generally measured in terms of the number of completed and reviewed, such as the requirement specification phase, whether it is completed or not, the design phase, the testing phase, etc. So for which the review is complete, we said that that step has been progressed. This was the scenario in waterfall model, because in waterfall model we know that only after one step has been completed and reviewed, then only we can move on to the next phase. So if we say that yes, four stages have been progressed, this means that the four stages was completed. But in contrast, while using an agile model, progress is measured in terms of the developed and delivered functionalities. So if you notice in agile model, so in agile model, the way we developed the functionalities, the way we delivered the functionalities, in that way the progress is measured. But in iterative waterfall model, the progress is measured that how we have completed one step. In agile model, delivery of the working versions of the software, we all know it is done in several increments. But so in this way, I can say that in waterfall model also, in this way it is somewhat similar, because in waterfall model also first specification is done, then design is done, then it is complete, then only coding is done. So it is also done in, even if a different format, it is also done in incremental procedure. And in agile model also, this working versions of the software, it is done increments, as in several incremental versions. So if a project is being developed using the waterfall model and it is cancelled in midway during the development, then there is nothing to show from this project, because in waterfall model the concept is either the project is complete as a whole or the project is not done. So if the project development is cancelled in the midway, so if I need to show something to the customer, I will have to show an abandoned project. But with agile model, even if a project is cancelled in the midway, it still leaves the customer with some good worthwhile code that might possibly have already been put into some other live operation. It can be put into some other model or some other code. So if I dump the project in the midway, in iterative waterfall model, the output is a big zero, because the customer won't be accepting anything. But in case of agile model, if I dump the project in the midway, still the customer will be accepting the thing, the useful code. He will be taking away the useful code whatever the company has delivered, and that code maybe he will supply to the next company where he want to get the job done, or they themselves will suppose work on that code or deliver something. So useful code is produced which can be used for later use in some other way. Whereas in iterative water model, there is no such usefulness of the code. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next is with versus the RAD model. Rapid application development model we have studied. So the agile model versus the RAD model. Now, the important difference between this agile and RAD model is that agile model, they does not recommend developing prototypes, but they emphasize more on systematic development of each incremental feature. I will write this. So under this RAD model, this is one thing which is there in agile model, that is prototypes are not developed but systematic development of the software in incremental feature is there. Whereas in contrast to this, the main theme of this RAD is based on designing quick and dirty prototypes. If you have remembered this RAD model, the main aim or the main theme was, okay, so the main aim was to design prototypes which are then refined into production quality code. So later on they are refined into making good quality code. But first we would do prototype. We will build a prototype. So this is the first difference between these two models. The second thing is agile project models. They are logically break down the solution into several features which are incrementally developed and delivered. But instead, the developers who use the RAD model, they focus on developing all the features of an application by first doing it a prototype and then improving the code over time. So I will also write this thing so that you can understand it. Okay. The next difference is that, okay, so this is another difference, that is in agile what happens is whatever things we need to do, I will break it into several modules, and I will start in doing the modules and adding up the modules. First I will do module A. If it is okay, I will include module B. If both are okay, I will include module C. So like this I will do it over incremental steps. But in RAD, what happens? Suppose the customer says that I need 5 features. He will quickly develop something, just giving the 5 features randomly, and he will just make a quick and dirty prototype. He will say the customer that, look, this is the quick solution which I am developed. So these are the basic things which are there. Are you satisfied? Yes or no? If you are satisfied with the basic features, now I will refine this into to make good look, to look good, so that it can attract more customers, or it will make the app friendly one, like this. So this is another major difference. And the third and the another third difference is that the agile teams, the teams who are working in the agile development model, they only demonstrate the completed work to the customer. But in contrast to these, the RAD development teams, they demonstrate to the customer the mock-ups or the prototypes that may be based on some simplifications rather than the actual computations. So what happens is, in agile model, I will also write it down. One minute. Some problem is happening in my digitizer. Okay. Not being able to write something. Okay. Okay. So in agile model, what happens? Only the last completed work is being explained. But in RAD, what happens is the prototypes also are being explained, and the last model is also being explained. So in between, the communication with the customers is much more in case of this RAD model than in the agile model. So these are a summary of the comparison of the agile model with the two very famous models which we have learned, that is the iterative waterfall model and the RAD model. Is this concept clear? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay. So the next is under this agile model, if you can remember, few names I have said, like Atten, Scrum, Extreme Programming, Lean Development, Unified Process, a few names I have said. So one of the very famous two models are the Extreme Programming model and the Scrum model. These are the famous two models under the several models of agile development models. So these two models we will be studying now. Okay. So this extreme programming model, under this agile development model, it was proposed by Kent Beck. It was proposed by this scientist Kent Beck in 1999. The name of this model, this reflects the fact that it recommends taking the best practices that have worked well in the past in program development projects to extreme levels. So, this model is based on a very simple philosophy that if something is known to be beneficial, why not put it into constant use? So what happened is in the past, several best practices have worked well in several program development projects. So they will take all those best practices and they will try to incorporate those. So something which has been proved to be beneficial in the past, that thing will be used. So based on this principle, it puts forward several good practices that need to be practiced to the extreme level. If there is one good practice, suppose for a student, if the student wakes up suppose at 6 o'clock, if he does a 30 minutes free hand exercise, then if he eats some three almonds, if he drinks a glass of warm water with apple cider vinegar, then if that student studies for 3 hours, then he takes a break for 30 minutes. So these are the practices of a student which is good, which have been proved that if a person follows these practices, it is very likely that that person will be a healthy person. And if a person is healthy, definitely he or she will be able to study well. If my health condition is not good, definitely I won't be studying. So health is very important. So like this, the key practices that are very much essential, they need to be practiced to the extreme level. Now this is where the name of the model came, that is extreme programming model. Okay, so now we need to study that what are the good practices that need to be practiced to the extreme level. Okay, so that we can maximize their use, what are the good practices which need to be practiced to the extreme level? The very first is the code review. Okay, so code review is always good because it helps to detect and correct problems very efficiently, right? If I am making, so this is where we learned a concept known as pair programming, where two people were working on a piece of code, one is programming and the other was is constantly reviewing it. So always reviewing is a very good thing because it helps to detect and correct the problems. So, as we know that we have already suggested the concept of pair programming, we have just learned that what was pair programming when we were studying the agile development model. So, this pair programming can be implemented in order to achieve the continuous review process. So, in pair programming, what happens is coding is carried out by pairs of programmers. So the programmers, they take turns. Suppose two people are there, one person will write the code and the other person will review it. Suppose this happens for 1 to 2 hours, then they can exchange their roles. That is, they are the person who was writing the code. Now he can review the code that is being written, and the other person who was reviewing the code, now he can write the program as well. So in turn, they can exchange their work, but pair programming has been seen a very good concept to be implemented. Next, good practice is testing. Okay. So testing the code, it always helps to remove bugs. And if I remove bugs, my reliability will be improved. So testing will help to remove bugs and improve reliability. So, so this extreme programming model, they suggest a test driven development. Okay, so that continuously we write the test cases and we execute the test cases. So in a test driven development approach, test cases are written even before any code is written. So the approach is always write and execute the test cases. Okay. The third good practice is incremental development. So this incremental development, it is good because it helps to get the customer feedback, and extent of features which is delivered is an indicator of the process, because it suggests that the team should come up with new increments every few days. So first one module is made, it is given to the customer for the feedback. Then the customer gives some feedback, he incorporates those feedback into his module. And if suppose that is incorporated, again the second module will be made, it will be merged, and again it will be delivered to the customer for the feedback. So every few days some increments is being done, and so they can always show to the customer some matlab noticeable features which are delivered. So some indication of the progress can be directly viewed by the customer, because कस्टमर तो यही सोचेंगे ना, सपोज अच्छा पहला महीना में हमें मॉड्यूल ए दिखाया था, 2 हफ्ते बाद मॉड्यूल बी दिखाया, 3 हफ्ते बाद नया मॉड्यूल सी भी दिखाया। मतलब कस्टमर के पास ये इमेज जा रहा है that the development team, they are constantly working on the features and they are delivering it in a way they can indicate that progress are being made. So this incremental develop due to the customer feedback policy, it can be shown that progress is being made continuously. And by continuously, we mean that after every few days or weeks or months, whatever has been set by the team, so they can show something to the customer which is somewhat new from the previous code that they showed to the customer. Okay? Okay, wait, I will just share the attendance first. This screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Everyone, please give the attendance first, because last time, in last moment, attendance becomes very difficult. Okay, so I'm just quickly giving you 2-3 minutes. Please mark your attendance, then we will again continue. Okay, so everyone is able to make the attendance. Is there anyone left to do the attendance?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So we were talking about what the incremental development approach, why it is good. Because since we are always delivering or we are always developing something in increment and delivering it to the customer, so to the customer we can also prove that yes, we are always building something new. And also, since in doing so we are also taking review from the customer, or it is feedback from the customer, so in a way we can prove that yes, your feedback is also important. Okay, the next important feature is, I am telling you, let me clear this. Okay, so the next is simplicity. Okay, so in order to make an app, or to, if you want to keep the code simple, so it will make it easier to develop good quality code. As well as if I am developing an app which is simple, my code will also be simple and my quality of the code will also be good. As well as when I am to test it, I am to debug it, then also my things will be done in a more simple manner. So I should always aim at doing or performing the things with a simple approach rather than making it a very complicated approach. So suppose one program you can do it, or you can implement it using a while loop, or you can implement it using a for loop. But if you see that if you implement it using for loop, the program, the number of lines inside the for loop is only 2, and if you use the while loop, the number of lines inside the while loop is 10. It may happen. So obviously we will choose the for loop. Why? Because if I choose the for loop, it will help me to make the code a simple one. So whenever one person will test and debug it, also it will be easier to debug only 2 lines of code rather than 10 lines of code. So what will simplicity will give? It will give good quality code. It will be easier to test and debug. Okay. So therefore, one should always try to create the simplest code that makes the basic functionality being written. So in order to create the simple code, one can ignore the aspects such as maintainability, reliability, ignore these things. So once the simplest thing, the simplest code that you have written, it works, then the other aspects can be introduced also. So aim at developing a simple code for the prototype, aim at developing a simple code to make it run. Once you are successful in making the simple code good or right, then you can implement difficult features also. The basic features, the code for implementing the basic functionalities, we should always aim at making it a simple. Next is the design aspect. So, since a good quality design is very much important to develop a good quality solution, so everyone should design daily. So, this can be achieved whereas suppose a working code is improved, and always we need to make a design of how we are planning to make our things work. We should always make a design. So designing is a very important approach for the documentation part and also for the understanding part. Next and the last good feature is this integration testing. Now, integration testing, it is important since it helps to identify the bugs at the interface of different functionalities. Again, some problem is happening with my thing. So, in order to understand or identifying the bugs which are at different interface of different functionalities, that is when one module invokes another module, if there is a problem or if there is a bug, so we can always identify using this integration testing concept. And to this end, the extreme programming suggests that the developers should achieve continuous integration and performing integration testing several times a day. So integration testing is very much important. It will identify whether one module can be properly combined with another module. That is, if two modules can work efficiently